Welcome back to day 2 of Startup Week. We hope you had a great first day, and we would really appreciate if you could provide feedback on your day yesterday. Within our app, there is a day 1 survey. You could leave us some feedback there. We would really appreciate it. We would also want to make sure everyone supports local small businesses this week, and we encourage you to get lunch or dinner from a locally owned business. Our friends at the Downtown Dayton Partnership have put together a quick video to show you the variety of food available in our downtown community. And we'll run that video now.
And cutting.
As a reminder, if you weren't here yesterday, you can submit questions for the session in the session Q&A section of your app. And what we recommend is live streaming from your computer and having the app open on your phone so you can interact with our speaker and other attendees throughout the day. So that's in your app, the session Q&A, and you'll be able to submit questions there that will be directly seen by our speakers today. And now for our first session, we're very excited for this. We have Lakeisha Grant, a business advisor at the Miami Valley Small Business Development Center, who will be discussing what makes your business different and how to not only commit to that value, that is your value proposition, but how to present that to the community. You'll walk away from the session understanding how to define yourself against the pack and how you are unique in the market. We'll let you take it from here, Lakeisha.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John, and thank you to the Launch Dayton team for having me this week for Startup Week. We're going to jump right into it. So I want to start with just a definition of having a unique value proposition. And that is a unique value proposition is a clear statement that describes the benefit of your offer, how you solve your customers' needs, and what distinguishes you from the competition. So we have to start there, understanding what a value prop is first, right? So the next thing is the absolute first thing that I suggest doing when it comes to defining what your value proposition is researching your competitors, and not only researching the people who you see as your local competitors or your immediate competitors, people that would be considered your peers, but also looking at what those indirect competitors are. I always use the example of if you're selling some type of shirt, everyone who sells shirts to some extent is your competitor. Some are direct, meaning there are direct concerns to you, and some are indirect. So if you're selling t-shirts and someone is selling blouses, that's somewhat of an indirect comparison, but you both are fulfilling the need of covering the top part of your body at a base level, right? So understanding who your competitors are. Why is this important? This is important because if you don't know what your competitors are doing, if you don't know how your competitors behave, you really don't know how you're unique and how you stand out away from them. So it's very, very important to know that. How can you say that I am the best, or I have the softest shirt, or I have the spiciest guacamole, or whatever the case may be? How can you say that if you've never tried or you have no idea of what that other person is doing? That is very important. So that's where we begin. Begin by researching your actual competition and seeing what it is that they're doing. After you've taken some time to research your competition, now it's time to go back into your business. It's time to go into your product, your service, your offering. Once you step back into your product offering or your service offering, now it's time to just see exactly how are you different. And you start, there were 3 things that were discussed in that value proposition definition. First, the benefit of your offer. How are you benefiting your customer? What do you bring to the table that's a benefit to them? What makes them want to come out? So let's say, I don't know, let's stick with, I used shirt earlier, so we'll use shirt. If you have what I call a talking tee or a graphic tee that has mostly words on it, are you fulfilling someone's want to say certain things? Are you connecting with them from a collegiate standpoint? Are you representing an organization that they're affiliated with? Are you representing their college? How are you benefiting your customer? And that also falls into how you're solving that customer's need. What do they need? So we're in homecoming season. Unfortunately, we can't go to homecoming because of COVID, but this would be a very popular season for those who are selling things that are collegiate or even high school based, because you want to represent your alma mater, right? So you would be fulfilling the need of me being able to have school spirit in that case. And then what distinguishes you? Are you supplying a type of product that no one else is supplying? Do you have fleece and everyone else in hoodies and everyone else is doing t-shirts? Do you have tumblers when everyone else is selling styrofoam cups? How are you different? And those are base levels based on products. Those are base difference based specifically on just a product in itself. So as we move forward into, now that we've defined what a value prop is, now we get into the big part. How do you not only define it, but follow it? So we talked one about understanding your competition. Now that you understand your competition and you understand who you are as well and how you stand away from them, now it's really time to craft a really solid statement around how you are actually different. And this statement is going to be, we're going to put it up as your consistent goal that you're constantly reaching. It doesn't change. And that's a different way of looking at it than most people will probably say. But it's one of those things, like I have my value prop posted in 2 to 3 different places throughout my planner, throughout my home, and it's actually kind of hidden in random places within my computer so that it kind of pops out at me at random times. And it's meant to, and I do that to keep me focused, because it is easy, especially when you're new to the market, to take in a lot of feedback. And feedback is good. Feedback is great. You cannot improve without constructive criticism. But there's a difference between someone saying, hey, I really liked your shirt, or I really loved your product, but this happened when I used it. And okay, so that's cool, but are you going to do it in red? Are you going to do it in purple? Are you going to do it in green? Are you going to add pockets? Are you going to add a side? Are you going to add fries? That's a little different, because those suggestions become additions and sometimes even changes. And depending on what your personal value proposition is, those suggestions may not be beneficial to you at that time. So you have to make sure that you're staying engaged with who you are and what makes you special. Because as you take on some of these suggestions, you can easily begin to look like someone else, because a person may like you. Because it's said frequently that people buy from people, not businesses, right? So if that's the case, a person might really like you, and they're not, I don't think that people do it intentionally or to be facetious, but a lot of times what they'll do is they'll try to create someone else's product under you because they want to buy from you. They want to purchase from you. And there's a time and a place to be competitive in that nature, as long as you are able to stay true to who you are as a business, to who you are, or to the service that you're providing, right? So staying in line with how do you do this? One, you have to be transparent. And you have to be yourself, and you have to be original. One of the reasons that so many people don't like looking at competitors that I've heard is that they are scared that they're going to begin to mimic the other business. They're going to begin to look like the competitor. If they spend their time researching their competitor, they're going to begin to look like them. That only happens when you're not secure and you're not clear in who you are and what you provide in a business. Because you can go and research a business and you're researching elements of the business. You're not trying to become them. So you might be going and looking at your business to understand price point. How are they pricing their products? You could be going from a marketing perspective and trying to see how is this business marketing to their clients? Are they using social media? Are they using TV or radio ads? And then even in that, if you share the same customer base, are there different types of marketing materials that are working well for them? So social media marketing is very popular. So do behind the scenes posts do really well? That's what you're looking for. You don't need to take the actual text copy that is being used by that business. You can look and see, oh, it seems that people really like the behind the scenes content. They really like seeing how this product is made. They really like seeing me prepare to work with, seeing them prepare to work with a client. Maybe I should look into creating some of that type of content. So you're not mimicking and copying what the person's doing. You're using how they're being received by the customer base to use that information to see if you can test it in your own business. Because if whether you share the same customer base or not, when they're coming to you, they might like the tips that you provide more than the behind the scenes content. That might be more organic for you. Or they could like the behind the scenes content as well. But again, you're not trying to make sure that if you're tying boxes, that you're tying boxes like company B. You're just showing that I tie boxes. So it's not, again, it's when you're looking at your competitors and you're building that, you're staying original, you're staying true to who you are, and you're being transparent about yourself as a business. You're not working to look like these other people. The other thing to be conscious of when you're researching your competitors, excuse me, it could be something as simple as, again, sticking with the social media example, as hashtags. Are they using hashtags that are relevant to you and your business? That's where you come into that the competitor point, to continue to push you further into what's important for you and how you present yourself. Biggest thing, develop a strategy. Develop a strategy of how you're going to present yourself and your value prop. So does that mean that you might be going against the grain a little bit? Possibly. So again, staying in line with the example that was just being used of social media. What is going to be your strategy so that your business comes off as different, as well as what is going to be your strategy for your business coming off true and natural? A lot of times people get turned off by businesses and begin to do the compare and contrast because the person presenting the information seems uncomfortable, or the information in the way the content is being presented is too much like someone else. So you've created this ability for me to compare you to someone else. And we've all seen it, right? So you look at a shirt and you're like, that looks like company XYZ. And then you go to look at it, you look in the tag or you look at the post and you see, oh, that's not them. And you begin to draw your own conclusions around, is this person copying? Who copied who? Whatever the case may be. The same is true. One of the things that we were all caught up in, what was it, about a year ago, was the chicken sandwich debacle, right? Where they all consistently showed their differences within and how their value props through that conversation. So, Popeyes was trying to enter the market, but you had, the classic Chick-fil-A and Wendy's. Their marketing team just likes to kind of agitate and be a little petty. So they jumped into the conversation as well. But in that, we saw kind of them knowing their competitors and nitpicking at things. So, when Popeye sold out, even though it probably was from more of the customer base than the business, people were like, well, Chick-fil-A would never sell out of chicken sandwiches, right? And then we also saw the jab at the fact that Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday. So, and then you had Wendy's come in, I forget what they even said. But you had them showing it, kind of nitpicking. They knew their competitor well enough on the other side that they could nitpick at it, and they didn't have to say, when they said we would never sell out, they didn't have to say Popeyes, right? Like they just simply said Chick-fil-A we would never sell out. When it came to being closed on Sunday, they didn't have to say the business name. They just knew their competitor that well, so that they were able to identify how they stood out against them. All right. So those are things that you stay in tune with, again, so that you can, and this sounds a little bit more vicious than I desire. So that you're able to attack. You're able to attack and stay on point with your competitor when you know who they are and you know a little bit about how they present themselves. Also, in terms of being able to stay consistent and following your own, staying true to your own value prop, is checking in with yourself at an absolute minimum quarterly. And the check-in looks a little bit, it's just to see, are you staying consistent? Did you allow yourself to get overly caught up in a trend? So from a marketing perspective, it can be very difficult because you need to jump on trends to be relevant to an extent. So, we saw everyone don't jump on the TikTok trend, the TikTok trend with the song, what was it, the Don't Quit song, where everybody just kept doing it. Every business, you had athletes, you had basketball teams, you had businesses, you had come together that were in the same industry and all do the same video together. And that's fine to be along with that trend, but don't let that take you away from, I'm still here. I still have to maintain this. You add those trends into your marketing. You don't pull everything else away. So do we have any trends going on right now that I can think of? Nothing's coming to front of mind immediately. So what's your strategy? And then when you check in with yourself, are you maintaining it? So if your strategy is, I'm going to post this type of content, I'm going to show up to this particular place, I'm going to participate in these types of events, and I'm going to do it this many times a month. You have to be able to check in with yourself to say, okay, yes, I did these things. And that's from the side of the business. Well, when it comes into the product, it's your product quality, it's your product presentation. Are you staying consistent with that? Does your product look the same? And if it doesn't, has it improved? Does your product still stand out against others? Which that is a very difficult place, because when it comes to product presentation, you want to look like you belong on the shelf with all of your competitors, but you also want to stand out amongst them. So that's a hard place to fall, but you can. So, I'm thinking of pancakes, and when I think of Aunt Jemima, I immediately think of a red box. When I think of Bisquick, I immediately think of white box, blue lettering. So, but they're packaged the exact same? They come in the same size box. They're giving you the same amount of ounces. But what's different is the visual presentation. They stand out with their color. They might stand out with their text. And even with that, the text doesn't stand out significantly. When you think of magazines, one of the hardest things about going to a bookstore and finding a magazine is that, to a large extent, every magazine looks the same. Every magazine's masthead, which is the magazine titling at the top, is usually in some type of block lettering, mostly all caps. Some people, I think Upscale is one of the few that has all lowercase lettering. Very few have mixed lettering, right? So you're looking constantly, and you end up more so looking for the cover than you really end up looking for the name sometimes, because that's where they all come together and they're cohesive from a brand standard, from a industry standard. They all come together in the sense that they have this block lettering. They all come together from the instance of they're mostly capital, all caps. That's where they become consistent. Where do they stand out? It might be some font changes, but a lot of times with them, their standouts are their cover imagery. That's how magazines should stand out against other magazines, is they're always fighting to get that great image to go into a cover that's going to capture your eye. That's where their value props come in from a visual standpoint. That's how they're able to stand out amongst the competition visually. Is I've got to give you a shocking, I've got to give you an attention grabbing image that brings you inward and brings you to me. So stepping back just a little bit to the development of the strategy and staying in line with your strategy. Once you develop your strategy, I want to back up to that part just a little bit. It's more than just the marketing piece. It really goes into the building of a brand and the development of a brand in terms of people being able to expect a certain thing out of you. So the way that you present yourself, the way that you present your business, the way that you present your product is expected. And if you're able to stay on that, you're constantly presenting yourself in your way, and also in a way that defines you against others. So that can be, like I said, it can be the consistency of presentation of content, where people begin to expect certain things out of you. They expect to hear a certain voice come out. They expect to see a certain type of content. Another thing about the development of strategy around displaying your unique value proposition can be the look of even your website from a service standpoint, the flow of your website from a service standpoint, and the presentation of your product from a product standpoint. That goes into how you are unique. There is a t-shirt company called, is it Joe's Cupcakery? I think it's Joe's Cupcakery, or Joe's Bakery, where it's a t-shirt company, but everything about the presentation of his t-shirt is referencing a bakery. So I think even their stores are called bakeries, with the intention to kind of to mix it up a little bit. That makes him different. So the thing is, if any other t-shirt company comes out and begins to talk about themselves from a bakery standpoint, you're immediately going to think back to his business, because you're like, we've seen this before. And then the other thing is, the business also has like this skull and crossbone vibe to it, which is very against what you traditionally think of from a bakery standpoint. So you've got t-shirts being sold like cupcakes, then you have a bakery that's representing skulls and crossbones. That's unique. He found a way to add all these alternative elements together and then give it to you, and he stands out amongst everyone else because no one else thought to do that. So if you begin to, yes, there's t-shirt brands that have skulls and crossbones without question, but can you think of a company that is selling their t-shirts consistently like cupcakes, or even using the bakery analogy in their business? So those are the things. That's how he was able to set himself apart, and his strategy has remained consistent. Even the way in which he releases and discusses the drops or the new additions of his apparel stay in line with how bakery items might be introduced. So you should stay in tune with those things. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions around value proposition or developing a clear value proposition, how you or your business can stand out amongst the pack? And I just want to give the definition of value prop again. It is a clear statement that describes the benefit of your offer, how you solve your customers' needs, and what distinguishes you from the competition. And the consistent focus should pretty much be, how do I look different than them? Because one thing that I've noticed with some businesses is they actually attempt to look like other businesses. So we'll use Bath and Body Works. With Bath and Body Works, I've seen smaller companies emerge and want to come and try to use the similar names of their scent profiles. That's not unique. That's not helping you stand out. You can create the exact same, well, I don't know if it'll be the exact same, but you can come out and create a similar scent profile as any of the Bath and Body Works or the candle company, I can't think of their name right now, business or their scents. and just name it different. Because for some companies, that's what's interesting, is their naming convention. They name their things in ways that are shocking. And again, go using the cupcake t-shirt brand. They name their shirts, or they name their products in ways that are unconventional to that type of product. The product quality is still there. They just wanted to do something to make themselves stand out and create their own lane. So that at any point in time, if you do those things, you're now entering into their lane versus, we have a question, versus them trying to conform to someone else's. The question is, what happens to value prop when you expand offerings? Would you modify it or only expand where it already fits your value, your VP? So that's a great question. There's honestly a little bit of levels to that answer. First off, I would say when you look at the value prop of your organization, your business, your brand, from that perspective, it should really, any additional offerings should still fit inside of that value proposition. So let's say your value prop is, I need a good example for this. I'll use Wendy's. One of Wendy's value propositions is fresh, never frozen. So let's say, and I don't know their history of what was introduced when, I'll admit that. So let's say they just started with burgers and fries. So once they added the chicken sandwich, the chicken that was used for the chicken sandwich needed to maintain that fresh, never frozen portion for them to stay in line with that as being one of their value props, right? Everything that came in needed to remain that. If they started selling, and this is going to sound weird, if they started selling peas, they can't go get the frozen bag of peas now and add that even to the chili. All of their ingredients really need to continue to stay in line with that fresh, never frozen aspect. Now, when it comes to an individual product, and as it's entering, you have a little bit of leniency to your ability to do something a little different, as long as it again connects back to the overall brand. The one time that I think that you have some ability to change it within the business is if you're going through a rebrand. If you're going through a rebrand, you're opening up yourself to make some changes. You're announcing that you're making changes. And a lot of times we think of rebranding as visuals, but it can extend beyond that. It can become more around you're changing a little bit of everything. You might be bringing a couple things together. You could be releasing a portion of the brand, but during that time, that's a time where you can somewhat alter your value proposition, especially if you're choosing with the rebrand to attack a different market. Let's say you previously were a B2B business or a business to business, and now you're a business to consumer, a direct to consumer business. Your value prop would change in that. And that is one of those times when you're talking about extending your offerings, and also understanding if you are opening up into a whole different market. That's one of those things when it comes to extending your offerings, because your proposition as a B2B business might look different to a B2C business. So that's that extension of your offerings portion. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? As I wait to see if we have any other questions pop in. One of the biggest things around really defining yourself as being unique is working to truly be who you are as a business. Will there be similarities between you and other people? Yes. Competition is good. Competition shows that people want this product. So competition is not bad. The only time it becomes bad in a sense, is when you're not able to distinguish yourself and stand away and identify yourself separately. Let's say that the identifiers of a product are organic, plant-based. We'll use those two. Those two are good enough in the beginning. I can think of numerous companies locally and even numerous industries that use those two phrases, plant-based and organic, right? So what are you going to add? What are you going to do different to stand out outside of those two words? Because those two words cannot be your value proposition. They have to have something in addition to that. There has to be a piece. And honestly, sometimes it's the visuals. You stand out as a luxury brand against someone else. So it's understanding and identifying those key pieces that really help you stand out. But again, I go back to what I said in the very beginning. You have to know your competition. You cannot be scared to know what they are doing, and honestly do research on them, do significant research on them to see what truly helps you to stand out away from them. I believe one of the reasons that people become concerned, my competitors and I provide customer service. How do I drive this idea as a better service in order to get my clients' attention through my value prop? I almost want you to elaborate on that a little bit when you say you both provide customer service, because to some extent everyone provides customer service. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding so I can answer your question appropriately. So one thing is even the way in which you provide customer service. I'll go back to Chick-fil-A. I don't want anybody trying to in the streets when I say this. I don't think from a food standpoint, it's not the best food in the world like we all try to talk about. One of the things that makes Chick-fil-A stand out is from a customer service perspective, you're getting something different. I mean, how many memes and videos have we seen of the variances between the customer service at McDonald's, a Burger King, a Wendy's, and then a Chick-fil-A? That's what makes them stand out. It is for them, their service. Their service is consistently different. One is consistent, and it's consistently different from what you expect when you go to another fast food restaurant. You're being greeted. It's not like just what do you want? It's how may I help you? You are being given somewhat of an experience, even in a fast food environment. So that is kind of how they set themselves away from customer service. They're actually providing it in a decent manner. Another way, and I don't know if you're a product or service-based business, another way when you look at customer service is the routes in which a person can reach you. I personally am not big on phone customer service. So for someone who was dealing with a competitor and they were able to call immediately, that would be amazing. That chat feature that allows me to possibly be at work and then I can hop on your website, open on the quick chat, and I can solve my customer service issues, and I don't have to pretty much take off of work and spend an hour and a half just waiting to talk to you for you not to fulfill my question or my need. That could be considered great customer service. So it's also understanding, again, if you know that you're both doing similar things from a customer service standpoint, what can you do to somewhat extend yourself out? And if we're talking from a product-based business, it could even go in the packaging. Are you providing some type of care instructions? Because that we don't talk about it as that, but those things are customer service things. Are you able to answer any of your customers' questions before they ask them? So whether you're service or product based, can you enter in some information that answers a question before it's already asked? So let's say you get something that's a constant, frequently asked question, constant FAQ. And okay, got it. Uh, Constantly doing that. If you're able to post and present, boom, inside the description of your service, inside the description of your product, you're able to answer that most frequently asked question. You've already stepped above the rest, because this is something that people are constantly curious about this type of product or this type of service. I am stating that I provide 100% customer satisfaction, but in my experience in my service industry, my competitors lack in this area. How do I drive this point? I am usually not a fan of 100% customer satisfaction as a marketing. And this is personal. This is a personal thing as a marketing employee, because I always question, did you ask? I always question, I don't know. I'm a skeptic at heart. So I always question that. So one of the things that I will say is that you can highlight some of the other areas that you know your competitors are lacking. So let's say that I'm looking at a shelf. So we'll say that you built shelves. So your competitors have been known to leave trash on a work site. You stating that the cleanliness of your teams helps you stand out amongst the crowd. As you're talking more about maybe, I don't know, we'll say that the shelf might have been a little wobbly. You'll discuss how your team has never never built a shelf that they've had to come out and fix in any less than 2 years, or within something like that. You can say if you've never had someone cash in a warranty, you can build upon those additional things. So that goes into digging further than just saying the customer service piece, if that makes sense. You have to dig deeper to know, okay, so I'm saying I'm providing this level of customer service, but what are they not doing? So, again, using the fast food example. If you know when you go everywhere else that they're not even gonna say hello, they're just gonna say, "What do you want?" Just simply saying hello to your customer helps you. You just stood out. Attitude is immediately different simply because you said hello. You will be surprised, even on a consumer to business side, the way a person's attitude changes when you simply say thank you. I've said thank you to different people who've provided me a service or something like that, and their attitude changes immensely, because from a customer perspective, kindness, I guess, is my value proposition. Humanity is a value proposition as a customer, to simply say thank you. Or I appreciate that. Simply doing that can change a person's outlook and attitude. Excuse me. So but it does take digging. It really does take, like, one of the biggest things I have to drive home with the value proposition portion is you have to do the research to truly know and understand how you are different. And if you look at everybody else and you can't find anything, then you have to dig into your own business to say, what can I do? What am I going to do? What am I skilled at doing? Because you have business owners that are good at certain things. That's why you ultimately hire teams. So it's not that one person is skilled at every single thing. They bring people around them that basically fill their voids. So if you're really good at marketing, you bring someone else that's good at branding. You bring someone else in that might be good at creating content as you grow, to help fill those points. I'll be expanding on Lakeisha's points about customer service. Yes, Katie will be speaking tomorrow at 1 p.m. and she's going to really dig into the customer portion of a business, of building a business, and how you can be customer centric. So for and I'm sorry that I can't say your name, it's just showing as anonymous. But if that would be a great session to further that conversation. Okay, before we wrap up, do we have any more questions? Again, I just want to drive home a couple of points around defining your value proposition. In order to define it, you have to do your research. I can't say that enough. Research, research, research. It's one of the most important things for you to be able. So when someone walks up to you and says, how are you different from this person? How are you different from this person? You can say every single way that you're different from them. You can identify every single way that you're different from that person without ever having to say their name or acknowledge the formal their name, their business name, any of that. You'll just immediately be able to go in and say, hey, well, how are you different from them? Oh, I provide this, I provide this, I provide that. And just being able to rattle it off, because you obviously know yourself very well because it's your business. But then being able to double that up and really being able to identify everything that is somewhat of possibly a questionable area for your competitor, a struggle point for your competitor, is important. And sometimes it's not that it's a struggle, it's just something you significantly do different. So if it's, I don't know, let's say we'll go with the restaurant. And let's say you make, I don't know, fried rice, and your fried rice has all the vegetables, every vegetable. We got peas and carrots and corn and all these things. But your competitor in their fried rice, they might only put peas. Okay, so you can talk about that. We're providing a more enriching experience with our diverse vegetable selection that's being included. Something like that. It sounds so simple, but it actually is simple. It actually is simple. It's just about being consistent and understanding how you do stand out. And in many cases, we don't understand how we are actually different. So it's hard to then present how you're different. Okay, Ernestine, I'll talk to you tomorrow evening. So again, to close out, we've only got a couple more minutes. Be original and most importantly, be yourself. Or whatever your business's identity is. Your business has its own identity. It could be yours and it could be someone else's, but be true to that. Do not spend your energy attempting to build your business to be like someone else's. I hear all the time, I want to be the Chick-fil-A of something else. You don't need to be the Chick-fil-A. All you need to do is to identify what is Chick-fil-A doing that you really want to do. You want to provide high-level customer service. Ultimately, you want to say please and thank you. You want your customer service team to not be rude. It's not about being them. They've just honestly done very basic things that other companies have not required. So you require something different out of yourself and you stay true to that. You have companies, honestly, who have built a business off of being rude. It's odd, but they've done that. That's the part. Like I just read about the other day. There's a lipstick company that's Sarcastic Cosmetics. So all of the names of their products are very sarcastic sayings. I don't even wear lipstick, but I want to buy it just because I'm a sarcastic person. So it's like it's appealing. It's very appealing to their customer base. Like they were able to get in tune with that element of the customer, of their target market. What else? Again, check in with yourself. That's the note that I really want to leave off on, is that you check in with yourself to kind of check yourself per se, making sure that you have not gotten off of track, because there's a lot of things that will be thrown at you. Again, trends, suggestions, criticism. You have to know what to take, what to throw away, and then what to write down. You take the things that you know you could improve upon. You take the things that you know are relevant right now today to making you a better business. So if you're a speaker and you're doing recorded videos and someone says, I like what you said, but there's something going on in your background. I couldn't really hear you. You take that immediately, because then you might have to look, is there some type of fan or something that's blowing? Do you need a new mic? That's something you take immediately. Someone saying, I really wish that you had a virtual background, or someone saying, I really wish that you had a pink wall. That's something you might leave. What you have in your background might be exactly what you want. I can't say that for myself today with these pipes, but that's something. It's not, unless it's a part of your brand where you need your branding in the background. It's not a significant thing that needs to be done right away. So you might write that down in your notebook, or you might throw it completely away. And then lastly, the things that you write down, they may be great ideas. It may be a new edition of a product. It may be a new edition of a service. And just because someone gives it to you on Monday does not mean you have to implement it on Tuesday. So you write those things down, and then you actually analyze your business to see, does this suggestion of product or service actually fit into your business model and your value proposition? Is it consistent? Then after that, you look at it and say, is this the proper time to add something new at all to my business? Thirdly, you say, is this the proper time for this product? So if you live in, even though people want hoodies all year long, I know I wear them if it's a cold area or whatever. July on a 100-degree day might not be the best day to drop a hoodie product. It might not be the best day to drop a parka, because it's 105 degrees and people are melting. Now, on a day like today where it's 70 and you see fall is coming, might be the perfect day to drop that type of product, because people are in a different mindset, and it fits in. So it's all of these things play in together. So with that being said, I'm going to end today with that. I want to thank you all again for joining me this morning, and I want to thank again the Launch Dayton team for allowing me to participate.
Thanks, Lakeisha. Great session today. You also set up our next session really well. So our next session is titled Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Advice. So it is a panel on people of local entrepreneurs talking about the advice they've received, what they've taken that they shouldn't have, what they didn't take that they should have, and more along those lines. Also, in kind of the next 10 minutes, we encourage everyone to go check out the virtual resource fair. So you'll see the SBDC in there, which is the organization Lakeisha works with, as well as a number of other organizations and programs that can support your business throughout the entire year. So with that, we'll wrap up and give everyone about 10 minutes to go grab some coffee and get ready for our 10 o'clock session. Thank you.